We're here today at one of Polk County's natural preserves where we're going to take a look at the scrub jay and how Polk County helps to maintain our natural resources. So sit back, relax, and join us on this science quest. Good morning, Keely.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. I'm here with Keely, an environmental specialist for Polk County. Keely, I've heard a lot about scrub jays. What makes them so special?
The scrub jay is actually an endemic species to Florida, which means they're found nowhere else in the world. They're actually very specific to scrub habitats. And in Florida, scrub habitats are dwindling. So unfortunately, the scrub jay is a threatened species here in Florida.
And what's a scrub habitat?
A scrub habitat is kind of, if you think about the beach, going to the beach, just, with the white sand and stuff like that, just think of going to the beach, but with a lot of oak trees and just a harsh environment. The native species that live there, vegetation-wise, are they'll poke ya, like just cactus and hog plums and stuff like that. They're just very pokey and harsh. It's just a harsh environment.
Okay, and why exactly are the scrub jays threatened? I mean, what's happening to their environment here?
Their environments, if you think about it, the scrub habitats are higher. There are old sand dunes, especially in Polk County. It's old beachfront property. So it's easy to build upon scrub habitat. You don't have to fill in wetlands or anything like that. So when people build, they look for uplands. So our uplands in Florida are just kind of going away.
Okay. And how often can you see scrub jays? I mean, I don't know if I've ever actually seen one. What do they look like?
A lot of people, even Florida natives, don't even know what a scrub jay is. Have you ever seen a blue jay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, they're very similar to a blue jay, but they're gray and they have heads and tail, more of a pale blue and a little bit of white on their bib area.
Okay. Now, are there other ways to identify them than just the way they look? Is there something that makes them special or a little unique?
Yes. Actually, when you come up to a territory, they're very territorial, I should say. They won't cross paths with their neighbors. So they'll set up these territories. They could be small or very large. And when you come up to a territory, you can usually see one bird, and we call that the sentinel. He'll be up on the top of a high tree. So he's kind of looking for predators, kind of scouting out the area, like, well, what are you doing here? Just kind of looking around. And then he'll start, making some noise, kind of alerting the other birds. Then if you look on the ground, you'll see the ones that are gathering. So they're the gatherers. They're finding the acorns and stuff like that. And they also have a certain flight pattern. So if you're looking and you see a mockingbird and you think it might be a scrub jay because they're kind of similar, their silhouettes, their flight is a lot different. The scrub jay will do one flap and then nosedive. They're not very good at flying.
Okay.
So they'll do like one little flap and then they'll kind of nosedive to the ground to get out of the way.
Now, you mentioned about they have their own territories. That seems really unique. How does that play out?
Yes, well, the scrub jays, they're a family unit. And the fledglings from the year before will stick around with the family for a couple years and help raise the new young until they'll go off and find new territory somewhere else. But the breeders of the group don't like to move from their area. So say you are a scrub jay and I'm a scrub jay and you have your family right next to mine, that's your territory, that's your house, and this is my house. So I'm not going to fly into your territory. There's actually like an invisible line. You can actually see them when we're monitoring flying back and forth this invisible line, and they'll squawk at each other and like, don't come over here, don't come over here. But that's actually kind of not a very good thing in the grand scheme of things, because say the one territory gets overgrown, the scrub jays don't want to move out and find better habitat or more suitable habitat for them and their family, because they don't want to encroach on somebody else's habitat. Okay. or territory. They just they're used to where they are.
It's their family home, their
heritage.
Their
home, yeah. So they don't want to really move about too much, and that's kind of unfortunate.
Okay. So now that I have an idea of what they look like, when's the best time to find a scrub jay? When's the best time to get the chance to see them in their environment?
Well, they're most active from say March and April, when they're kind of courting each other, and they start their mating rituals. They do court each other and make cute little sounds to each other. So that time they're pretty active, and then after their young are starting to fledge, they're pretty active. So probably between March and July is a really good time to see them. But make sure it's not on a windy day or an overcast day, because they won't be out.
All right, and when you say they won't be out, they hide underneath the scrub? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, the scrub habitat is very, with the oak trees and stuff, it's very good for hiding. And then it also has bare sandy patches that they can forage in. So they will hide in the oaks.
And what are they foraging for?
Well, first off, they love insect larvae. And I don't know what they're specifically looking for, but they love the larvae of certain insects. And they also they will hide, each scrub jay that's gathering will hide at least 300 acorns for the winter. So they start saving up, and they'll cache acorns everywhere.
Okay, so they save them up, they store them for the winter.
Yep.
Just a long haul, but they still sort of tuck it in during the winter, I guess, or what?
Yeah, you don't really see them, so they're probably just, chilling.
Now, when we have this overgrowth, when all this overgrowth starts to endanger them, and obviously they don't want to move out, is there anything you guys do to help out, to help maintain that?
Yes, actually, there's several different management practices that our team and our crew will do, and one of which is the best way is prescribed fire. And actually, we are in very close to an area that we burned about 2 weeks ago. So if you want to come over and check it out, we can see how that process works.
Awesome, let's go.
Cool.
Watch my step. All right, so what are we looking at?
Well, here, first off, this site is Sumica, and it's one of our environmental properties owned by Polk County. The Environmental Lands Program has over 25,000 acres all over the county, keeping natural habitats natural.
Okay, and so this is a prescribed burn?
Yes, this was actually done about 2 weeks ago, and by prescribed burn, we mean we actually set this on fire. This was not a wildfire, wasn't set naturally. We actually came out and set the fire and then put it out.
It seems like there's got to be a lot of preparation for that. I mean, that could lead to some dangerous stuff if done incorrectly. What do you guys do to help set up for that and make sure it doesn't go wrong?
Yes, well actually weeks before we're checking the weather to make sure that we have proper winds. If you look behind us, there is a major highway. So that is a huge deal when it comes to burning Sumica, is the highway. So we want to make sure we're not pushing smoke onto the road. Okay. And say it was still smoldering overnight and we couldn't be out here, we wouldn't want to put any more smoke on the road and cause fog issues. So weeks before, we'll start watching the weather. And then when we get the right weather that we need, we write a prescription for the burn unit. Okay. So we didn't burn this whole site, we just burned about 300 acres of the site. And we wrote a prescription, or the burn boss will write a prescription for the unit. In that prescription, he will list the vegetation. So here we have saw palmetto.
Okay.
So this is dominant in this type of habitat. We also have scattered pine trees. So he'll write that in there. We don't want to scorch too many pine trees because this habitat calls for a certain amount of pines. So, we really go into detail in the prescription, what the habitat is, the vegetation, how many crew members we'll actually need, what the crew members need to bring. Vehicle-wise, we'll have Polarises with water, which is an ATV with a big water jugs on the back. And also we have a deuce and a half, which carries 500 gallons of water, and then 2 fire engines. Okay. So, all that's written in the prescription.
All right. And it seems like it's obviously you bring in a lot of water. That's just to put out the fire. Or is it because it gets hot? Like, I mean, what's all that?
Well, the water is for the suppression, but also just in case we get a wind shift and the fire that is in this unit decides to jump over to the next unit, we really need to be on spot and put it out right away, because we don't want to have the wildfire start while we're doing the prescribed fire. So everybody is highly trained. We've been to classes and stuff like that. But everybody's highly trained to just mobilize if something were to go wrong during a prescribed fire. But the water is definitely to just put it out. And
Okay. And now, obviously, so you light it on fire. How do you make sure it stays within its boundaries?
well, we have fire breaks, and we also have natural fire breaks. We put in mineral lines, which is bare dirt. So we can drive along those lines, but also if the fire were to go into the mineral line, it will just go out. There's no vegetation for it to creep across into the next unit. And also natural fire breaks are marshes or cypress domes and stuff like that. We always make sure, we're very cautious to make sure that there's water in the marsh or the cypress dome, to make sure that it will stop when it gets to the moist soil.
Okay. And do people come out and maintain the fire breaks as well? Because I can imagine that it's dirt, it's going to have stuff probably grow on it.
Yes, there's certain seasons that our crew will come out with the tractors and disc lines or mow lines, and just keep everything up to date for that right time, because you never know when the weather is going to be perfect, especially in Florida. It's really hard to get the perfect weather.
Oh, I can imagine.
So our crew is constantly doing maintenance on fire breaks, and while they're out doing other management activities as well.
Okay. And so it's lit. How do you just let it burn until it goes out, or when do you know it's done?
Well, first off, when we gather here, we have a crew. We have a burn boss, which is the top guy of the day. And then we have 2 line bosses, and then the crew from there. So he will hand out the prescription, let everybody know what's going on, what the game plan is, and the line bosses know who's doing what. We'll start off at one section where the wind is good, and we'll start a test fire to see how the fire is going to behave, how it's going to interact with the vegetation and the winds. Once we determine that it's safe to proceed, the crews will start stripping small lines, like they'll walk about 10 feet or so, 20 feet, and we still watch it, see how it interacts. Now, we're lighting a black line at this point, which is a backing fire. So the backing fire is going against the wind. It's moving nice and slow. Once we've established a nice, healthy black line where we know we can light a head fire, we'll strip off head fires or flanking fires. So a head fire is going with the wind. And at that point, when it gets back into the black, it's fine. It will fizzle out on its own.
Okay, so you essentially you make the finish line and then burn all the way through. Now, how quickly does it regrow back? I'm seeing green already on some of these salt palms.
These are saw palmettos,
Okay.
and yes, they come back within, I mean, it's been 2 weeks, so within 2 weeks, this is the growth that we have back. Also, there's wiregrass, which is right here,
Okay.
and this is a Florida native, and it's fire dependent. And it comes back very quickly as well.
All right.
So a lot of the vegetation in Florida needs fire. It's fire dependent, as well as the species that live in these habitats, because naturally lightning strikes occur. We're the lightning capital of the world here in Central Florida, and lightning strikes would happen and they would just rush across the landscape, stop when it got to a natural fire break. So we're kind of mimicking that.
Right.
So yeah,
It's very interesting to just think of, fire. I think of, okay, I'm going to cook something on fire. I'm going to warm by the campfire, but I never thought of it as being used to help nature in not a necessarily damaging way.
exactly. These species actually, like I was saying, they need it. They grew up with it. They've adapted to the fire. If we didn't help it along in a safe manner now, with being so urbanized in certain areas, if we didn't help it along, the habitat would just it would just not be healthy. No wildlife would be around. So by doing this, like the wiregrass, for instance, without fire, it will not reseed itself so naturally. So it won't bloom and then seed and then the seeds fall. So that won't happen without fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we have this regrowth. Obviously, it comes back relatively quickly, especially some of the plants. How often do you do a prescribed burn? Do you do the prescribed fire?
Well, we like to say that our units, especially in this type of habitat, go 2 to 5 years. Okay. We don't want them to get over 5 years, because then you run into issues with prescribed fire being overgrown and stuff. And God forbid we have a wildfire.
Yeah.
You don't want to run into those issues. So 2 to 5 years is good for a wet flatwoods or a flatwood setting, such as Samaica. Other habitats can go a little bit longer, like the scrub habitat where the scrub jays live.
Yeah.
That habitat can go, up to maybe 5 to 10 years.
And with the scrub jays being very territorial, how do you work around that when you're doing a prescribed burn?
Well, part of my job being an environmental specialist, I'm not so much a tech that goes out and actually, physically does the things that the techs do with the fire lines and stuff like that, and maintenance. I go out and I'll monitor the scrub jays. So I'll know where their territories are. I have to actually know where the scrub jays are at, where they're nesting, where the territories are, because that way we can break up the units a little different. So I can report back to the guys that are actually doing the maintenance and breaking up the fire lines. I can say, oh, don't do that there because there's 10 scrub jays in this area, will want to burn over here. So we can break it up, and then that way we can break the territories up. So that way it gives the birds, some freedom where they can go and still hide and forage, but then when it starts to grow back, they can come back.
Okay.
And then we can do the other side.
When we were coming in, I noticed some swampy areas, and it still seemed pretty green and things like that. How do you guys deal with that? I mean, is that an issue? Because obviously there's a lot of water, it's not going to want to burn.
No, actually, we call it when certain areas within our burn unit don't burn at all because of the water issues or something like that. We call it a mosaic burn, and it's actually okay because it's still, even if where we were standing didn't burn out and right over here did, it's fine because it's still giving refuge to certain animals and stuff. So it's fine for a mosaic burn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you monitor for the scrub jays in order to help their habitat and to help them out. Are there any other species?
Yeah, actually there is the gopher tortoise. We monitor for their health and the habitat that they use. The gopher tortoise is actually a species of special concern, so it's a listed species. And then also we will monitor for the sand skink. And that is a completely fossorial critter. It swims just underneath the sand. It leaves a perfect S shape in the sand, and that's basically what we're monitoring, is just their presence. Okay. If we get to see one, it's really exciting for our biologists on our staff, but you rarely get to see them, just the presence. And we can tell that our management practices are working out and we're doing the right thing when we see the presence and the gopher tortoises thriving and the scrub jays thriving and the presence of the sand skinks. We know we're doing something right. So.
Well, Keeli, thank you so much for bringing me out here and teaching me a little bit about prescribed burns and what Polk County does to really protect its natural resources and help out the environment, especially the scrub jay. Very, very cool. Well, that's all we have for today, so join us next time as we seek out yet another Science Quest.